The night began with a silence so heavy it felt alive, waiting for someone to break it first. A single phone call cut through the darkness, carrying a tremor that hinted at secrets long buried. Footsteps echoed in the hallway, each one sharp, steady, and too familiar to be ignored anymore. A photograph slipped from an envelope, showing faces smiling together before trust quietly fractured. The air turned cold as a message arrived, written by someone who should have disappeared years ago. Shadows moved across the window, slow and deliberate, as if tracing memories no one dared to revisit. And in that fragile moment, everything once certain trembled, signaling the beginning of a storm none could escape. Liam woke before dawn, startled by a vibration on his nightstand that felt strangely out of place. He reached for his phone with a hesitant hand, sensing trouble even before reading the caller's name. The screen showed a number he had erased years ago, yet it glowed now as if summoned by fate. He let it ring twice before answering, breathing slowly to steady the sudden rush in his chest. A familiar voice greeted him softly, carrying warmth and danger woven into the same fragile breath. It was Harper, the woman who had vanished without a word and left him with questions he never solved. She spoke his name like a confession, trembling as if each syllable carried a weight she could not lift. Liam sat up, pushing aside memories that surged too quickly, sharper than when they were new. Harper said she needed help, urgently, and that no one else could understand what she was facing now. Her tone held fear, not the dramatic kind she once used, but the raw kind that made people flee. Liam listened carefully as she tried to form sentences, stopping and starting like someone being watched. She whispered about a man from her past, someone she thought she had escaped but never truly lost. Liam felt the room grow smaller as she described footsteps outside her window the previous night. He asked where she was, but she hesitated, as if revealing the location might bring danger closer. Seconds stretched thin before she finally said she was staying at a motel on the outskirts of town. Her voice cracked when she told him she hadn't slept, afraid the silence might swallow her alive. Liam rubbed his temple, torn between caution and the old instinct to protect her from everything. Memories of their last argument returned, echoing with regret and the truth they never addressed. Harper apologized then, quietly, as if the apology had been waiting at the back of her throat for years. She said she never meant to leave the way she did, and that she never stopped thinking about him. Liam closed his eyes, wondering if this was another storm she would pull him into and abandon. But something about her voice felt different now, stripped of all the masks she once wore so easily. He heard a sudden noise on her end of the call, a thud that made her gasp and fall silent. Liam sat upright, gripping the phone as if he could guard her through the fragile connection. She whispered that the motel door had moved, just slightly, as though someone had pushed from outside. Her breath became uneven, shaky, the kind that comes from fighting the urge to bolt and run. Liam told her to stay still, to keep him on the line, to trust him just once without disappearing. He grabbed his keys, not thinking about consequences, only the tremor in her voice calling him back. Harper thanked him in a whisper, so faint it barely reached him, yet it held a truth he could not ignore. And as Liam stepped into the cold morning air, he understood that whatever awaited them had already begun. Liam drove faster than he intended, guided only by the trembling breaths he still heard in his mind. The road stretched empty before him, coated with fog that clung to the headlights like trembling ghosts. He replayed Harper's words, each fragmented detail circling him like pieces of a puzzle missing its center. The motel she mentioned sat far from town, a place people used when they wanted to stay unnoticed. Liam tightened his grip on the wheel, wondering why she chose a place where fear could easily grow. He remembered how Harper once hated isolation, how silence made her restless in the middle of the night. Something had driven her to hide, something stronger than pride, stubbornness, or old wounds between them. The sky lightened slowly, but the quiet morning felt wrong, as if the world held its breath with him. Liam turned into the gravel driveway, scanning the parking lot for signs of movement or fresh tracks. Only 2 cars were parked there, both unfamiliar, both coated in a thin layer of dust. The motel office lights flickered weakly, giving the building a sickly glow that crawled across the walls. Liam stepped out of his car, listening for the sound of voices, footsteps, or anything out of place. He walked toward the row of doors, searching for the number Harper had whispered before the call ended. Each step echoed too loudly, bouncing off the peeling paint and hollow windows like scattered warnings. He reached her door and paused, hearing nothing but the distant hum of a vending machine struggling to work. He knocked gently at first, then again with more urgency when silence pressed back at him like a wall. His heart hammered as he called her name, hoping she was simply too afraid to answer. A soft, shuffling noise came from inside, followed by a quick inhale that told him she was still there. Harper's voice finally slipped through the door, thin and strained, asking if he came alone. Liam felt a chill at the question, realizing fear had twisted her into someone who trusted nothing familiar. He assured her he was alone, speaking low, trying not to draw attention from empty rooms around them. Locks clicked one by one, slowly, like the room itself resisted letting her go. The door opened just enough for him to see her eyes, red from sleepless hours and heavy from dread. Harper pulled him inside quickly, closing the door behind him with trembling hands that never rested. The room smelled of old carpet and anxiety, both clinging to the walls like stains that refused to fade. Her belongings were scattered on the bed, as if she had packed and unpacked in a panic through the night. She told him someone had followed her to the motel, someone patient enough to wait for her fear to grow. Liam asked if she was certain, trying not to let suspicion cloud the worry twisting in his chest. Harper nodded, saying she saw a figure outside hours earlier, standing still as if carved from shadow. She said the figure never moved, never spoke, but watched until the sky began to pale with dawn. Liam looked toward the window, feeling the weight of unseen eyes pressing from somewhere close. He told her they needed to leave the motel, to find somewhere safer before whoever followed returned. Harper agreed, but her voice wavered, as if leaving the room might open a door she feared to face. And as they stood together in the dim light, Liam sensed the real danger had only just begun. Liam guided Harper out of the motel carefully, glancing over his shoulder with every step he took. The parking lot seemed emptier than before, yet every shadow made him tense as if it could strike. Harper's hand found his, gripping tightly, a silent plea for safety that spoke louder than words. She whispered about the figure from last night, saying it had disappeared, yet left a lingering dread. Liam nodded, signaling her to keep quiet, knowing even a whisper could draw attention from unseen eyes. They reached his car, headlights off, and he scanned the area for movement before opening the door. Harper slid in quickly, her eyes darting to every corner of the lot, nerves frayed like thin wires. He started the engine softly, not wanting the rumble to echo through the still morning air. The fog hung low over the road, and Liam felt it crawl under his skin as they merged onto the highway. She explained how the figure had been following her for weeks, patient and relentless in its silence. Harper admitted she had tried to confront it once, but it vanished before she could even speak. Liam considered calling the police, then thought better, knowing authorities could never fully grasp this. She leaned her head against the window, eyes unfocused, replaying every shadowed step in her mind. He reached for her hand again, offering a steady presence in a world that felt ready to betray them. Harper described strange messages left in her apartment, things only she could understand, threatening notes. The tension tightened like a knot in Liam's chest, each mile forward making him more aware of their danger. They passed a gas station, but neither wanted to stop, fearing exposure or someone waiting nearby. Harper muttered a name, someone from her past who might know why this figure pursued her so obsessively. Liam clenched the wheel, realizing they were in a story that had roots deeper than either could untangle. She confessed she had hidden truths, choices made in desperation that now seemed to trap them both. He stayed silent, listening, letting her release what had been suffocating her for months in solitude. Harper spoke of nights spent awake, watching windows, fearing each creak and whisper in the dark. Liam could hear the weariness in her voice, but also the determination that had always drawn him close. She asked him if he believed her, and Liam answered without hesitation, knowing instinct outweighed doubt. They drove in silence for a while, the highway stretching empty, a fragile thread between safety and threat. Harper revealed a detail that shook Liam, a clue pointing to someone they both once trusted completely. He realized the danger was not just random, but personal, rooted in betrayals and broken promises. Harper's hand squeezed his, grounding him as thoughts spiraled, a tether to reality he could hold. They reached a small bridge over a creek, and Liam slowed, sensing movement beneath the foggy outlines. Harper whispered that this was where she first saw the figure, waiting like a shadow carved from patience. Liam looked over the edge, spotting nothing yet feeling the presence in the chill of the morning air. He started the car again, glancing at her, knowing the next decision could determine what survived. Harper leaned back, breathing shaky but steadying, ready to face whatever lay ahead on the road. And as they drove on, Liam knew that the pursuit would not end until truths were uncovered and debts repaid. Liam and Harper parked at a small diner on the edge of town, hopping for a moment of quiet. The neon sign flickered weakly, casting a tired glow over cracked windows and peeling paint. Harper stayed in the car for a moment, hands shaking as she tried to steady her racing thoughts. Liam opened the passenger door, urging her to join him, knowing they couldn't linger in fear forever. Inside, the diner smelled of coffee and fried food, a strange comfort amid the tension surrounding them. They slid into a booth near the back, away from the few other patrons who glanced briefly at strangers. Harper scanned the room, as if expecting the figure to appear behind a counter or through a doorway. Liam ordered coffee for both of them. Hopping warmth might calm the edges of their frayed nerves. She began to tell him everything she had discovered, the puzzle pieces she had kept hidden until now. A man from her past had returned unexpectedly, someone she once trusted but who turned ruthless. Liam listened carefully, each word building a clearer picture of the danger chasing them relentlessly. Harper admitted she had tried to protect him by disappearing, but the plan had backfired completely. She mentioned coded messages, items left in public spaces that only she could recognize as threats. Liam felt his stomach tighten, realizing the threat was methodical, intelligent, and deeply personal. Harper leaned across the table, whispering names and locations she had uncovered over weeks of fear. She explained the figure's motives, a twisted obsession tied to betrayal, money, and past secrets. Liam took notes in his mind, preparing for the choices they would have to make soon. Harper paused, glancing at the door, convinced someone might be watching them even here. A waitress approached with coffee, breaking the tension for a brief moment as Liam thanked her quietly. Harper sipped slowly, trying to appear calm while scanning each reflection in the window panes. She revealed she had discovered a safe house, an old contact who might provide temporary shelter. Liam suggested they leave immediately, knowing lingering would increase the risk exponentially. Harper hesitated, worried about leading danger to the safe house if someone was following them still. They debated the next move, weighing speed against caution, fear against the need for action. Harper whispered that the figure had friends, people she didn't know but who enforced his obsessions. Liam clenched his fists, feeling a rising urgency to protect her and end the chase before it escalated. They left the diner quietly, slipping back into the foggy streets, blending into the early morning traffic. Harper directed him through winding roads, avoiding main highways, fearing surveillance from distant eyes. She admitted she hadn't felt safe anywhere since the stalking began, each night more exhausting than the last. Liam reassured her, promising to stay alert and move cautiously, aware that any misstep could be fatal. They reached an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts, the safe house she had mentioned carefully concealed. Harper unlocked a hidden door, glancing around nervously as they slipped inside without making a sound. The interior was sparse, but secure, a temporary refuge where they could plan the next steps. Liam and Harper leaned against walls, catching their breath, knowing this was only a pause, not an escape. Harper admitted her relief was mixed with anxiety, realizing their enemy was clever and relentless. Liam nodded silently, understanding the danger had grown personal and unavoidable at every turn. And as they settled in the dim interior, both knew the next decisions would define whether they survived. Liam checked the perimeter of the warehouse, making sure no one had followed them inside. The shadows stretched long across the concrete floor, and every sound felt amplified in the silence. Harper stayed close, watching him move with careful, calculated steps that betrayed both fear and trust. He found a set of windows partially covered, letting in light but blocking any outside view of their presence. Harper whispered about a plan she had considered, a risky move that could lure the figure into a trap. Liam frowned, knowing risk and desperation often walked hand in hand, especially now. She explained that the man had a pattern, always striking when they felt the safest or least prepared. He listened intently, piecing together clues from her observations, searching for weaknesses to exploit. Harper revealed that the figure had been sending coded messages for weeks, testing her reactions carefully. Liam traced the logic behind the codes, recognizing a psychological game meant to unnerve and control. She admitted she had ignored some messages, fearing they would reveal too much to the wrong eyes. Liam realized the danger wasn't just physical, but a battle of minds, each step calculated by obsession. Harper suggested using the warehouse to observe, perhaps baiting the figure into showing a vulnerability. Liam agreed, but insisted they prepare escape routes, anticipating every possible outcome meticulously. They moved quietly through the empty rooms, noting entrances, exits, and hiding spots for sudden emergencies. Harper described a network of surveillance she suspected the figure had, explaining why subtlety was key. Liam checked the tools they had brought, ensuring communication lines and devices functioned without error. She admitted fear had forced her to carry backup plans, each one more desperate than the last. Liam told her that they could control their choices here, shaping the narrative instead of running blindly. Harper nodded, trusting him, though anxiety still flickered in the corners of her eyes like fragile flames. They set up a small observation point, covering windows with reflective material to prevent being seen. Harper whispered details of the figure's habits, times of day, and reactions to past attempts at confrontation. Liam wrote down everything mentally, preparing for confrontation without revealing their intentions prematurely. They reviewed their movements repeatedly, rehearsing silent communication and signals for any sudden threat. Harper revealed a key detail. The figure had a specific fear that could be exploited if approached correctly. Liam noted the information carefully, realizing it could be the edge they needed to regain control of the chase. She admitted hesitation, fearing that the figure might anticipate their strategy and escalate the danger. Liam reassured her that caution and timing were their allies, not recklessness or panic. They spent hours monitoring the surrounding area, listening for sounds that could indicate movement outside. Harper whispered about shadows shifting unnaturally, suggesting the figure had not given up following them. Liam double-checked the warehouse doors, ensuring locks and barricades were secure before any confrontation. She admitted a lingering fear that each moment of stillness might be the calm before an attack. Liam reminded her to breathe, to focus on strategy rather than panic, keeping their minds sharp and alert. They coordinated signals for danger, agreed on escape routes, and rehearsed ways to confuse anyone watching. Harper revealed she had hidden evidence in case the figure tried to erase traces of their presence. Liam examined the items, confirming they could use them to set traps or redirect attention effectively. They waited in tense silence, knowing the figure could appear at any moment, relentless and patient. Harper leaned against him, finding small comfort in their shared resolve despite fear gnawing at her. And as the hours stretched, both understood that this night could change everything, for better or worse. Liam heard a faint scraping sound outside, alerting him to movement he had anticipated all day. Harper's grip tightened on his arm, silent but filled with urgent warning he couldn't ignore. He signaled her to stay low, eyes scanning every shadow that might conceal the relentless figure. The warehouse walls seemed to close in as the noise grew louder, deliberate, and chillingly calm. Harper whispered that the figure was testing their defenses, probing for weaknesses in their setup. Liam nodded, ready to act, knowing patience and timing would decide whether they survived this encounter. A sudden gust rattled the doors, and Liam realized the figure was closer than they had imagined. He checked all entry points, confirming the barricades they had reinforced were holding firm. Harper reminded him of the figure's fear, the one detail that might give them the upper hand. Liam formulated a plan silently, coordinating movement and signals with Harper without a word. The figure appeared in a narrow window of light, just a silhouette, observing them with calculated patience. Harper's eyes narrowed, recognizing the posture and timing that revealed the stalker's intent. Liam whispered for her to stay calm and follow his lead, emphasizing control over impulse. They prepared distractions, small noises and objects arranged to mislead anyone approaching. Harper held her breath as Liam triggered a subtle sound, drawing the figure's attention momentarily. The stalker reacted instantly, moving toward the source, unaware they were stepping into a trap. Liam signaled Harper to take the secondary exit, ensuring a fallback route if the plan failed. She moved carefully, silent as shadows, keeping her senses alert for sudden danger. The figure paused, sensing something amiss, then continued cautiously toward the bait Liam had set. Liam stayed hidden, watching every movement, timing the next step with precise calculation. Harper watched from a corner, ready to intervene if anything went wrong during the maneuver. The figure reached the distraction, fumbling slightly, giving Liam the opening he had anticipated. He triggered another device, sending a noise that caused confusion, forcing the stalker to turn unexpectedly. Harper signaled back, confirming the path was clear, and Liam prepared to confront the figure directly. The stalker's movements became frantic, realizing their plan was being anticipated at every turn. Liam stepped into view, voice firm, confronting the figure with the knowledge Harper had provided. Harper joined him, standing beside Liam, projecting resolve and determination through every movement. The figure hesitated, caught between aggression and caution, unsure how much they had revealed. Liam pressed forward, maintaining control, forcing the figure into a corner of their own making. Harper spoke, carefully revealing truths that disarmed the stalker emotionally, breaking composure. The figure faltered, vulnerability exposed, showing that obsession alone could be exploited strategically. Liam and Harper moved in unison, careful, deliberate, ensuring no chance of sudden retaliation. The stalker finally retreated, uncertainty and fear now dictating the next move instead of malice. Harper exhaled slowly, relief mixed with exhaustion, knowing the immediate threat had diminished. Liam surveyed the room, ensuring no hidden dangers remained before allowing themselves a brief respite. They shared a quiet look, understanding the ordeal was far from over, but a decisive step had been made. And as the first light of dawn filtered through the warehouse, both knew control had shifted, for now. Liam and Harper stood outside the warehouse, the morning light softening the tension around them. The streets were empty, but the sense of danger lingered, a reminder of what they had faced. Harper took a deep breath, feeling the weight of sleepless nights slowly begin to lift. Liam glanced at her, seeing determination and relief mingled in her tired eyes. They walked to the car, careful yet confident, knowing they had survived the worst of the chase. Harper admitted she hadn't realized how strong they were together until now, united in purpose. Liam reassured her that fear no longer dictated their choices, that control was now in their hands. The road ahead remained uncertain, but the first steps toward safety had been taken decisively. Harper reached for Liam's hand, a silent promise that they would face whatever came next together. He squeezed back, understanding that trust had been rebuilt in the crucible of danger. The city skyline appeared in the distance, light spilling over buildings, signaling a new beginning. Harper smiled faintly, knowing this moment marked a shift from fear to resilience and hope. Liam started the car, and they drove forward, leaving the warehouse and shadows behind them. They moved carefully, yet with purpose, determined to reclaim the life that had been disrupted. And as the sun rose fully, both knew that while the past had haunted them, the future was theirs.